Now, some teachers that teach development don't focus on this, but I focus on it, and here's why. If you don't know what your limiting beliefs are, you can't change them. You can't change something that you are not aware of. Limiting beliefs are deposited into our life very early in our developmental process. Some people tell us that 75% of what we learn before we're 2 years old. Others tell us that all of our beliefs and values are internalized by the time that we're 6 years old. Those are some pretty big figures when you think about all the decisions that you're having to make today and the life that you're trying to live, and it's being driven by values and beliefs that were internalized at a time that you didn't even know you were internalizing them. But we have to become aware of them. A researcher by the name of Amanda Goldstone did a survey throughout the country, and she came up with the top 10 limiting beliefs in America. This is the result of surveys, research that she did. So I want to share them with you. The number one fear, now this might surprise you, the number one fear that people expressed was the fear of greatness. Now, isn't that interesting? All of us want to be great, but it's the number one fear, it was one of the number one fears, or the fear across America in Amanda's research. Fear of greatness. What in the world would make us afraid of greatness? Well, we're going to unpack that more for you in another teaching. The fear of not being good enough. Now, this is a big one, and probably all of us can identify with the fear of not being good enough. Anytime that we're expressing the fear of not being good enough, that is shame-based. Again, Renee Brown, in her book, The Gift of Imperfection, totally recommend it. It really deals with this thing of shame and not being good enough. All of us experience that, and it's a self-sabotaging, limiting belief that holds us back from reaching that next level that we want in life, that we're not good enough. And most all of us feel that way in some capacity or another. But it is one of those limiting beliefs that we have to deal with and get over. The fear of not being loved is number 3. I think most people experience this because one of the things that we want to know from the cradle to the grave is, am I loved? Do I belong? And am I competent? 3 things that all of us want to know from the cradle to the grave. A fear of not being loved. So we will often, in this, again, sabotage ourselves, pushing people away so that we reject them before they reject us. And that brings us to number 4, which is the fear of rejection. And again, that is based on the fear of not being loved and the fear of not being enough. So we look at rejection again as a failure. Sometimes rejection is a matter of just not fitting. There's a lot of things that all of us reject every day in our life. We go try on a new pair of shoes, doesn't feel right, we reject that pair of shoes. Or we try on a new shirt or a new blouse or a new dress, whatever, and it doesn't fit just right. Think of that as just not being a fit. Even in your relationships. Sometimes there's just not a fit there, and it creates an awkward, sometimes even toxic relationship. So again, we have to move past the fear of rejection.